You've got to see how we upgraded my kitchen with this DIY plastered range hood. And I'm gonna let you in on the secret of how we did it without making a single cut of wood. This one is extra special because my dad is helping me with this project, and he's the one that taught me a lot about DIY and how to use power tools and always encouraged me to just go for it. If you're new here, I'm Lena. I'm a mom of 3 small kids and a realtor with a passion for renovations. If you're like me, you might have bought a fixer-upper and you're taking on whatever you can yourself to turn it into your dream home. The first time we walked through our soon-to-be forever home, I just thought the kitchen didn't match the property at all. It was dark and dated, and the cabinets were all really crammed together. And for me, I was envisioning this European modern farmhouse, and I came across this photo and I just thought, wow, that screams European farmhouse to me. It's such a unique focal point of the kitchen. How the heck am I gonna build something like that? After doing some research, I came across this company called Archways and Ceilings. I was blown away at how they can create a frame and ship it to you like a puzzle. Some girls geek out over jewelry, I geek out over custom range hoods. I reached out to them with photos of my inspirations and the dimensions. They sent me back 3D renderings and mock-ups and then shipped it to my doorstep. It was time to start building the jigsaw puzzle. This project, I called in some backup, which is my dad, the one who has taught me a lot about DIY, and we love doing projects together. It's how we bond. And so the first thing we did was start to measure the placement of the frame. Archways and Ceilings provided a step-by-step instruction manual with each of the pieces labeled. This seriously made it so simple. So now it was time to put the puzzle piece together, and you'll see these are all pre-cut and they interlock and they just snap in together, and then we screw them down. So this first piece we decided we just start tracing just to make sure we have the placement of everything correctly, because while all the big cuts are made, there are some tiny cuts that need to be made on site. You'll see where the electrical cord needs to be drilled into the actual frame. So this is something we had to do on site. So again, just getting all of our placement right. This was the prep work, making sure we were in the studs, and then you'll see that I'm trying to make sure I work around this electrical outlet perfectly. Moment of truth. Did I measure my on-site cut perfectly? And I nailed it. Right. Now, here's something to consider. I think, yeah, that's going to be perfect. You can just go through.
All right, Lena.
Yep, so we got to step.
No, just bring the drill. Just
oh, you're ready to drill?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it level? It's got to be
right here, Lena. You put one right here. Where my finger is, Lena? Yeah, so here's the stud right here.
Okay.
Put a hole right there. Ready?
How about you?
No, over here.
Just one in the way?
Right in the center, right there.
Yep.
Yep. So they just drill in there and there.
So you just angle it in?
Toenail it in.
Yep.
Okay. Let's get the top one first. Let me get, oh, they're pre-drilled already?
No, that's for the side.
No,
oh, wait,
it's
do I
looking
need
up
to
there.
flip this? No, this is on the right side. It can't be any other way, correct?
I would think.
Yeah, they're all the same. Okay, so I need to run one here and run one up there.
Okay, what I would do is
Should I do the inside ones first?
do the top one first.
Okay, can you hand me?
Hang on, let me.
That's gonna add the curve. Got it?
Yep. Is that going straight?
Yeah, that one's going straight. The angled one's going on the bottom. Do the nails on the side, not the front.
Angle from the side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. To give this Arcadian style range hood a more European farmhouse feel that I'm going for, we decided to add corbels to it. And again, this is just another reason that I was so grateful to have archways and ceilings cut all these pieces for me, because I was able to just pop it together like it's a puzzle, screw the pieces down, and I had ready to go corbels versus trying to make these on my own. So this says toenail or screw. How do you do that?
Toenail just means the angle, but we'll use a screw.
I might need to put this back in a little bit too, super flush.
What's that?
I said I might need to screw these back ones in slightly.
Yeah, we'll do that.
But you screwed into the stud or you screwed into this?
We're gonna do both. We're gonna put a little hole right here.
Yeah, this has, oh, I guess to the back you're saying.
Huh?
Yeah, from the back.
Yeah.
Here you can see how the actual vent was inserted into the frame and then connected with the ductwork and the electrical. I've listed the exact model in the show note. Now that the frame is assembled and the vent hood is inserted, we will move on to doing the drywall. In order to make the front piece able to bend to adhere to the slope of the hood, I scored the back side of the drywall using an X-Acto knife.
Halfway or a quarter way through. Just a normal pressure like you were doing before. That's two. You got a feel for it?
These were about 1 inch to 1.5 inches apart. For the corbels, I just cut smaller pieces of drywall, put them on, and then I traced it out and cut it with an X-Acto knife. I thought this was a lot easier than trying to do it when the corbels were not assembled to the piece. I just slowly trimmed these out. Where the two front pieces met, we took an X-Acto knife and made them super flush. This is really important so that everything adheres nicely when it's time to apply the Venetian plaster. Then we went over all the seams with all-purpose joint compound. We did this also on all the screws. This just will cover everything up and again provide that nice base layer of all even surface so that we can apply the plaster. Applying the drywalls to the corbel was the most trickiest. I had to make it look like a keyboard. I essentially scored the front of a piece so that it would bend to adhere, and then scored the bottom half on the back so that it would bend and be flexible. And then I screwed them in. It was honestly the hardest part of all the drywall just because the angles were hard to get in, but it wasn't terrible. The biggest thing was just making sure that we could cover these gaps between the drywall. So I got started applying the drywall tape over all of the seams on the corbels and the larger seams so that we could apply the joint compound. This just helps it give more of a surface for that joint compound to stick to. The joint compound would not give the super clean edges I was going for alone. I purchased these rounded corner beads from Home Depot and I put them on each of the edges. At first I tried to adhere these with staples, which did not go too well. The red stuff you're seeing is the spray adhesive that I used, and here is how the rounded corner beads looked after I applied joint compound on. I'm going to be using a Venetian plaster from Thermalux. I've gotten it tinted in the shade of my walls, which is Greek Villa. This is pre-made up, ready to use. I did a lot of, kind of researching, and people kept recommending this one. It was easy and fast to get, if I can get it open. So let's go ahead and get started. And this is the first time I've done this, so you and I might be learning along the way. They've put a sample on the top of it. So the Venetian plaster is going to have a very coarse texture to give it this stone type look. Don't forget to prep your drywall with a primer coat. I'm going to be just using a trowel to apply it, using a mixture of tighter angles and wider ones. So first thing that we're going to do is apply just kind of the skim coat. So put it on and make sure we just have a thin layer to serve as a nice base. I've got just a small amount on my trowel. And we're gonna start by just kind of putting it on there and then scraping it off. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this was my first time ever working with Venetian plaster. A lot of the videos that I watched prior to applying it suggested that you go in opposite directions when applying the plaster so that nothing looks too patterned. So I'd go one direction and then switch to my trowel the other direction. And I just did this over and over again until I liked the way it was looking and I had a good the initial layer of the Venetian plaster. I've let it dry for about an hour now. So now that we've got this good skim coat on, I'm gonna go back and do the same exact thing with the trowel, but however, we're gonna do a little bit of a technique that gives it more of that kind of textured vibe. It's called skipping. And again, I'm gonna push it down, but I'm going to skip it a bit. Not like that. Dry overnight. The color is beautiful. It matches the walls perfectly. So again, using this particular Thermalux, you can tint it to any color that you want. So I'm super pleased with how it's turning out. Now, it's very rough to the touch. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna buff it out. I'm just gonna do it by hand using this round 220 grit. You can use like a square sand hander, but I just find it easy to put this on my palm and go around. So we're gonna buff it so that it's just smooth to the touch, because right now it's got a really rocky, edgy feel. So I'm just gonna do that by hand and let's get started. Once the range hood was finished, I could start installing the tile backsplash. With these two updates, the kitchen cabinets started to really clash with the glazed finish, so I decided I would update those by painting them a solid finish and changing out the hardware. The color is Revere Pewter by Benjamin Moore. To give the range hood a little contrast, I added a piece of reclaimed barnwood that my father-in-law found for me. We have lots of wood accents throughout the home, including beams and the wood ceiling in the kitchen, so this felt like the perfect way to tie it all together. This upgrade took my kitchen from something that didn't seem like it fit the property to the European farmhouse feel that I had been going for. And it's so satisfying to also look at it and go, I did that, when before this project was really intimidating. With this and all the other updates and upgrades we made in the kitchen, I know that we have increased my home's value. We're continuing to make the dream home come alive one room at a time. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one right here.